So welcome to the November all signs video. This video is for everybody, no matter what sign you are. It doesn't matter, it's for everybody. Welcome to November and welcome to Scorpio season. So before we jump into this month's astrology, I do want to take a second to talk about Scorpio season and a lot of the themes that you may be feeling around this time. I used to do this in my all signs videos, but I haven't done it for a while. So Libra season, let's start with Libra season. Libra is a cardinal sign because it switches us into a new season. It's where we go from summer to fall here in the northern hemisphere. Libra is about other. It's where we start seeing reflections of ourselves and other people. It's where we start understanding ourselves and our own identities because of our interactions and relationships with other people. It's also about balance and diplomacy and fairness and projections. Libra is all about the duality. It's about light and dark, good and bad. It shows us that it's not as simple to think in black and white terms. It's not that easy. That every one of us is light and dark. Every one of us has good qualities and bad qualities depending on who you ask or how you think about yourself. Libra seeks to harmonize these different traits. That's why a lot of people can get annoyed with Libra, because it's basically like we can be like the devil's advocates. I'm a Libra sun, in case you didn't know, but we can like stand up for the bad guy, you know what I mean? Because we can see all sides of situations. So, and this is important still going into November, especially this November, because we have Venus in Libra and we have Mercury retrograding back into Libra now. There is still going to be this contrast going on between light and dark, good and bad, right and wrong. What's fair? What's balanced? Is there really even a right and wrong? You know what I mean? These are the kinds of things that Libra embodies in its energy. And so the reason that Libra comes before Scorpio, from my point of view and my perspective, is because it seeks to harmonize these two polarities, no matter what they are. They don't just have to be light and dark and good and bad and all of that. It can be anything, whether it's two polarities within yourself, a polarity between you and another person. It seeks to harmonize and to find a different solution, find new perspectives of a situation. So moving into Scorpio season this November for all of us is about where we have seen the polarity, where we have tried to harmonize this polarity, two different polarities in our lives throughout the last month. You know, you may have been noticing a lot of polarities, a lot of paradoxes, a lot of opposites, a lot of duality, whether within yourself or external to you, or with you and another person, or you and many other people. It can play out different ways for each of us. The theme here is polarity when we're speaking about Libra, and since we have so much Libra energy and we're moving into the sign of Scorpio, Scorpio seeks to merge these two polarities. Scorpio seeks to go down to the depths, to the darkness, to get a second look, to do it differently, to look at things in a different way, to embrace not only the lighter, good parts of life, but also the bad, you know? And Scorpio is all about embracing fear. Even if you know Scorpios, because I know a lot of Scorpios and they hate change. They hate it, but yet they bring it on themselves so much, you know, and they don't even realize it because they actually need that change. And I used to think I hated change too. I have Mars, Mercury, and Pluto in Scorpio, so I used to think the same thing. And then I actually realized that I thrive in change, and I used to think I hated it because it was scary. But once I was actually in it, I was like, oh, okay, like this, I'm like alive again, you know? And this is why a higher octave of Scorpio can embrace the fear and embrace the change. And so October, we had Mercury retrograding in Scorpio, but now it switched signs and went back into Libra. So October was very much about going deep. It's a very, very internal time right now, I think, for everybody. Going deep within our fears, deep within our insecurities, deep within the things that block us. Because when we're talking about Scorpio, we have to talk about its polarity, which is Taurus, also ruled by Venus, just like Libra. We have a lot of Venus energy going on in the beginning of this month. Taurus is about love and harmony, the more physical manifestation of beauty, the things that we like to hang on to for security and comfort. And Scorpio is about that all washing away, letting go of all of it, because that is the only way that we're able to change and get out of our comfort zones, is when we're able to let go, is when we're able to move through fear, is when we're able to move through fear, face fear, and at times even become friends with our fear, which I know sounds crazy, and you don't hear a lot of love and light, self-help, spiritual people talking about this. And this is why I always beat this in to you guys, because it is not about running from fear. It is not even about fighting fear, as a lot of people would have you think. It is about facing fear. It is about becoming friends with those dark sides. And if you don't already, follow me on Instagram, because at this time of year I get really poetic. And I've already made posts talking about Scorpio season. I did a video on Instagram talking about this current energy this week and how intense and crazy it is at the time that I'm filming this for this upcoming full moon that we have on Halloween, this Taurus blue moon that we're having. If you want more updates and if you want to know even more details and stuff about this stuff, then definitely follow me on my Instagram. I also post stuff on Patreon, too, exclusive to Patreon members. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you would just like to support me, go check that out as well. Anyways, enough of the shameless plug. But basically, as we move into Scorpio season, this is about what can we let go of in order to embrace some kind of change. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, Scorpio does have a reputation for being very dark, okay? It deals with death, rebirth, darkness, fear, insecurity, loss, you know, transformation, all of these kind of more scarier life crisis kind of situations, because through those situations, we change, we evolve, we grow. If we didn't go through the lack, if we didn't go through the loss, if we didn't go through these heavier, more intense life crisis situations, then we would never change the way that we do things, that we look at things. We would stay stuck, stagnant, and bored for our lifetimes. And so Scorpio has a purpose. Yes, it's dark. Yes, it gets a rep, you know, for all the dark shit. But they're deep people. And I've said this before if you've been with me for a while, but I always think of Scorpio because I think of Cancer as like the beach, right? I think of Scorpio, it's a fixed water sign, so it's still. So I like to think of Scorpio as like a lake in like the middle of the woods, like some dark ass woods in the middle of fall. This still lake, like in the woods or in the mountains, that's like black. And you can't see how deep it goes. You can't see what's underneath of there. And so that's how I always have thought of Scorpio. It's deep, there's depth, but it's still water. And so in order to move forward, you have to face what's there internally that's stuck within you. Before we can move to Sagittarius season, where we start understanding why. We start understanding the purpose and the meaning behind things. We start looking at things from a whole different perspective. We start seeing that we have more to us, that we have a higher purpose, a higher calling than we originally thought. But to get there, we have to go through this still, deep, dark, watery lake. That is how we get to understand our meaning on the other side. Basically, I think that's why we have Halloween in Scorpio season, because you can dress up and be anything you want to be, no matter how scary, no matter how weird, no matter how creepy, no matter how bad, you know, no matter how dark. You can be who you want to be. You can let loose and let your shadow out. Because why else, anytime you want to be a Halloween character, the way I think of it as, you relate to that character in some way. Whether you see it, know it or not, there's something in you that likes that character that you're dressing up as. And therefore, when you dress up as it, you almost allow that part of you that likes it to become one with it. You know, even if you dressed up as something that maybe you used to be scared of or that's scary, you know, it's about making friends with your dark side. And a lot of people hear this shadow and, you know, shadow work, and they think like, oh, I'm just going to be miserable all the time, or I got to make friends with this like you know, part of me that's like really bad or does really bad things. That's not necessarily what it is. It's deeper than that. You go through layers and layers and layers, and you get to the root of why you do those quote unquote bad things. What in you is causing that? And you feel that, you heal it, and you allow yourself to move through it and merge with it, where you end up transforming and going through this beautiful metamorphosis, whereas the end of Scorpio season is like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And that's exactly what we're doing in my metamorphosis workshop that we started last month, or this past month in October. It's only been a few weeks, and all the sessions have been recorded, so if that is something that you're interested in doing, you can definitely still sign up for that. Anyways, Scorpio is also very much about obsession, where we obsess about things, or where we get almost like addicted to a certain way of wanting to do something. It's the things about ourselves that we don't like that we hide away. And so a lot of that's coming to the surface right now in order for you to deal with it, face it, and purge it. And there is this sense that I've noticed lately about like going backwards, or maybe you're feeling lately like you went like 10 steps backwards and you're like, why am I back here? I've been here before. Why am I back here? Or why is this person back in my life? Or why is this thing back in my life? Or this feels like the same exact situation that I've been in like 1,000 times. This is important. So pay attention, become aware, figure out what the fear is in the situation, and face it, because that's what it's all about right now. So let me know down below if any of that relates to you, if you've learned anything from that, and let's get to the astrology. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual astrology of this November. So we're not only talking about Scorpio season, but we're also talking about Sagittarius season, because Scorpio season ends around November 21st, give or take, depending on where you are in the world. And then we go into Sagittarius. The sun moves into Sagittarius season. So let's go ahead and talk about the dates, the astrology, if that's what you're interested in. Hopefully you've been able to understand Scorpio a little bit better now, and yeah, let me know down below if you've been having any of these kind of things come up in your life, if you've been relating to anything that I said about Scorpio, or you've been seeing any of these themes come up. Okay, so before we jump into November, I do want to talk about this Halloween full moon that's coming up on Halloween. It's a Taurus full moon. It's considered a blue moon because it's the second full moon that we've had in the month of October. We had the first one on October 1st, which was an Aries full moon. You may see a lot of themes also coming back up from the end of September, beginning of October, and the beginning of November, and this last week of October as well. So pay attention, because these things have came up before and they're coming up again, because there's something that needs to be figured out here. There's something that's not quite clear that's going to get more clear as time moves on. But I do want to quickly talk about this Taurus full moon, because this is a big fucking deal. And it starts off Scorpio season for us as well. So with this Taurus full moon, this full moon, the moon in the sky is going to be in Taurus, which is Scorpio's opposite sign, and the sun's going to be in Scorpio. So they're going to be directly opposite each other, which makes a full moon. And what's really fascinating and insane and crazy about this full moon is that the moon is going to be conjunct Uranus in Taurus. Now Uranus has been in Taurus since around, it first transited in around May 2018, but then it retrograded back a few months later, and then it went back in, I think last year sometime in 2019. So wherever you have Taurus in your chart, you've been getting major awakenings, insights, a need to be more individual, a need to express your individuality more, a need to be a little bit more erotic, a little bit more spontaneous, a need to enlighten yourself in higher forms in different ways. And so this full moon can bring a lot of insight, a lot of awakenings, a lot of major realizations, but also it can bring with it some shocking things, some surprises, a lot of unexpected stuff, a lot of weird, strange stuff, a lot of synchronicities. It can also bring a lot of anxiety. What I've noticed about the moon anywhere near Uranus is it brings a lot of tension and anxiety, a lot of nervousness, a lot of like erratic like energy. So that is something that you want to watch out for, because it is going to be very intense, as it's going to be a full moon on top of Uranus. So we're going to be feeling that Uranus energy even more so. You also want to be careful. Now is not the time to make any like permanent decisions at this time. Not a great time for that, for the beginning of November, because this Taurus full moon is going to, the energy from it is going to last for the first 2 weeks of November. So that's why I'm talking about this again. I did mention it briefly in last month's all sign video, but basically what I think this is going to do, because we're going to have the full moon conjunct Uranus in Taurus, we look for the ruler of Taurus, which is Venus, and that's in Libra and its other ruling sign. So this full moon is bringing up a huge shift in a lot of relationships for us and the way that we perceive things, showing us different sides of things. It's really asking us, how can we be individual and hang on to our individuality, or rebel against a certain perspective, polarity, something like that, but also somehow keep the peace or keep the harmony in some way, speak the truth or do something that's fair. And I think a lot of us may realize that what's fair is us being individual, is us sticking to our own individuality, looking at things from a higher perspective and getting out of our comfort zones. Another thing that I really kind of channeled for this full moon is that I think this is going to be bringing out possibly a lot of skeletons, truths out of the closet. What's hidden is going, if we can become friends with what's hidden, it's going to be liberating. If we can share or bring to light what's hidden within us or our insecurities, it's going to be liberating. And also facing our fears is going to be very liberating. It's almost kind of like the truth will set you free kind of moment. So that's kind of how we're starting off this month, with this full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus, this really erratic energy that's going to go on for the next couple weeks. It's going to linger a little bit. So definitely let me know what ends up happening for you guys around that full moon. It may not happen exactly on Halloween. It may happen the day before. It may happen the few days before. It may happen a week later. It's different for everybody. Everybody feels it differently. So on November 3rd, Mercury is finally going to be going direct, which means it's going to be going forward again. It's not going to be retrograding anymore, but it is still going to be in its retrograde period, meaning that it has to retrace its steps. So it went through, it went backwards, and now it's going through again. So over the next month, things are really going to start making more and more sense as to what this Mercury retrograde period has been about for us. Now, Mercury went into shadow the end of September. It started retrograding around mid-October. Whatever has happened in your life since the end of September is going to really start making more sense. This is where the pieces are going to start adding up, and we're going to be able to start understanding things in a new and different way, especially to do with our relationships, because we are dealing with a lot of Libran energy here. So we are wanting to somehow bring the darkness to light, but in a way with style and in a way with a certain calm, mature manner to it, if that makes sense, or even artistic manner to it, because it's Libra. So on November 10th, Mercury enters Scorpio again. Okay, so even more so, things are going to start clicking around mid-November, especially to do with wherever you have Scorpio in your chart. Now on November 12th, 2 days later, we have Jupiter conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. This is the third time this year and the last time that this will happen. So this is a huge, huge month and a huge, huge time where things are going to start really making sense. It's really going to start adding up. Things are really going to start adding up. Major changes, major transformations happening. And we are really going to start wanting to make big, big changes in our life. We are going to start knowing that we need to make big, big changes in our lives, that we are going to need to understand and completely understand a new way of doing something in our lives related to where we have Capricorn in our chart. So this is going to be a big culmination point mid-month. Is right after that, the very next day, Mars is finally also going direct, which means it's also going to start going forward and no longer be retrograding in the sign of Aries. So we've been dealing with that since mid-September. So all of this stuff, and then we also have the Scorpio new moon. So this is where it's going to be okay, I get it. Huge light bulb moment. This is what needs to go. This is what needs to stay. This is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it now. now. Like, I'm not holding this shit back anymore. And this is where it's like you're being more resourceful. You know what you have to do. You know the changes that you have to go through and the changes that you've already went through to get to this point. It can also be like, oh my God, I no longer am scared of this anymore. Like, I'm going to do this. So middle of the month, middle of November is a huge, huge time. I would say a huge pivot point of this year. Okay, like one of the biggest moments of this year where you're like, okay, we're starting to move forward. I finally understand. I see why all of this has happened, and I get it, and I'm good, and I'm a completely new me, and I'm fucking going. Like, I'm going for it. And this is right also before we enter into eclipse season. So major times. The veils are very, very thin this month, you guys. A lot's going on. So yeah, November 15th, we have that Scorpio new moon, which I will do a separate video talking about that. And then on November 21st, the same day that the sun moves into Sagittarius, Venus moves into Scorpio. So this is, once again, Venus is like retracking Mercury's steps. So once again, we're going to see things coming up that are familiar. We are going to start harmonizing the things that have happened during this Mercury retrograde cycle. And then on November 30th, we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Gemini. So, and this is where we enter into eclipse season, a whole new time, a whole new season is coming, a whole new era is going to be coming into our lives. So, and I will do a separate video on that as well. But those are the dates, those are the main big things that are happening this month, you guys. Venus is also going to be opposite Mars, I forgot to mention, when it moves through Libra. So definitely that's going to bring up a lot of harmonizing that we're going to have to do with this polarity of Aries and Libra, of the self and other. What do I want versus what does this person want, or what do others think, or what do others want, you know? So there's going to be a lot of harmonizing going on this month, a lot of merging two things together, even if it seems like one's bad and one's good, somehow finding a way to bring them together, to sandwich them together, to make them friends, whether it's within you or external to you. That is going to be the main theme here. So hopefully this has helped you out. Definitely let me know down below if you related to any of this, or if you've already seen some of these themes happening in your life. Thank you guys so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you guys in the monthly readings.